Hello, it is all weaving this week, and I'm slightly teasing you with that one. I'll get to that one in a second. In fact, I'll get to this one first. I've got this one wet finished, I've got one off the loom, and I've got two on the looms. And I know that I didn't plan to warp up the big loom this week because I wanted the table, but then I accidentally warped up the big loom. Most accidents happen in the home, as you know, and I was in my home warping up the big loom. I'll tell you more about that when I'm showing it to you, because that's going to be more interesting to look at than this. In the meantime, we'll start with this one, which is a little bit shinier than it was last week after its wet finish. Am I fully in shot? Yes. So there's been some bloom, there's been some shrinkage, and the shine is a little bit shinier because this yarn has a fuzzy black coating on it to make it feel a little bit softer. And oh gosh, that needs pressing. Oh, it's too late to start now. So that fuzzy coating doesn't wash off, it stays in place, but it does shift around a little bit, which exposes a little bit more of the shine. And also everything's just closer together and looks a bit brighter. So I'm really pleased with that. That's going to look lovely. Looks even better out of shot than it does in shot. That's going to look lovely catching some evening lights if that's what you're into. I've twisted the fringe, which is down here. There's one at each end actually, just to be fancy. So I've twisted the fringe because I like how those metallics look twisted together. I will trim underneath the knots there. I don't trim under the knots before I wet finish because sometimes the knots can loosen when you agitate in the wash. So I keep those ends a little bit long just to keep those knots closed. And then I decide afterwards if I'm going to trim them or not. And I did decide to trim these. I just didn't get around to doing it before I did a video. And I'm doing a video right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but I am in a video currently. So I will trim those, but then that is done. Now, off the little loom today, a couple of hours ago, is this one. Now this is the one with all my little floats in it, and you can see those there. Little groups of three on that side, three on that side, just to be fancy, and then 6 at each end, just to be even fancier. Haven't twisted the fringe. As I said, did come off the loom today. So I'll show you the length on the float side. Now, when I was weaving with this, I thought this is a very blue heavy yarn. I'm going to get a little bit closer because I can. I thought this yarn had a lot of blue in it, and it kind of doesn't. I mean, there's blue there. That's some blue. There is blue in it, but I kind of remember it being a lot more blue than it is. I mean, either way, it's fine, whether it's got a lot of blue or not. I'm falling out of frame slightly, so I'm just going to step back in. Hi. So that's the one side with the floats on it. Are you thinking this is quite long? Yeah, it is. I warped it up longer than I was expecting it to be. And you are not invited just yet. Bit of thread, you go down there. I didn't realise how long I'd warped this up because that's how I roll. So that's the side with the floats. And then on the other side, we've got the vertical floats, which I'm showing you very well. You see that? And that's the reason for the floats at all. I'm shaking that so you can really see it. I'm going to try and hold that still. So I wanted these orange floats because I didn't want to lose too much of the texture of the orange yarn. You can see maybe there that it's quite a textured yarn. It's got a cotton slub in it. It's a wool with a cotton slub, or cotton with a wool slub. It's cotton and wool. I don't know how they've arranged themselves, but there is texture. And I didn't want to lose that in the weft. So I thought if we get some floats happening, then you'll be able to see the texture. Do you see? It's science, probably. This is going to shrink in a little bit. These threads are going to shift around in the wet finish because when you've got floats like this, the threads underneath, or the yarn underneath, isn't as secured as it is in a plain weave, so it can move and shift and shrink. I tried to say shrink and shift at the same time there. Don't know if you noticed, but I am going to own up to it. So this is all going to kind of pull in and settle in a slightly textured way. I think that's what usually happens, but I didn't sample, so I don't know. But I'll show you next week because I'll twist that fringe and get this wet finished. And it should be quite interesting and it should be quite soft. And I've still got quite a lot of this yarn left. So I haven't got much of this yarn. This is Bendigo Woollen Mills Calypso. And the weft is, that's a really good question and I'm glad you asked. It is Patons, I'm going to say Patons Sierra 8-ply in one of the colourways. This one. I don't know the names of the colourways. I'm sorry. Or maybe they're just numbers. It's irrelevant. Anyway, would you like to see what I accidentally put on the big loom? This is the accidental warp. I wasn't planning this project. I didn't know this yarn existed, so I couldn't possibly have been planning this project. This project just happened to me as projects sometimes do. I went in to buy this black yarn, as seen here, and also here, and here. I bought the black yarn because I wanted to do something on the little loom, which I have started. I'll show you that in a second. And while I was buying the black yarn, I spotted this, which is Patons Sierra Chunky in a monochrome colourway. And the name of that colourway, oh, sorry, tripod. The name of that colourway, I'm wearing the wrong glasses again, it is Colour 1380, which is a beautiful and poetic name as always. This grabbed my attention. I bought 2 of them because I've opened the other one to start weaving with. This one is not open, but it is kind of falling apart. Anyway, so I thought that would be interesting on a black and white warp. And I thought, I've got white yarn in the stash. That will count for stash busting. Came home and had a look, and all of the white that I have in my stash has a little bit of yellow in it. So everything's ivory or magnolia. There's no sort of white. So I was, unfortunately, I had no choice, but I did have to go back and buy more yarn. And I am very brave and a little bit noble. But once I bought more yarn, I warped it up. Now, I spent a long time thinking about the stripes, and I think you can overcomplicate your stripes. And I was thinking about Fibonacci sequences and thick and thin stripes and random stripes and all the rest of it. And in the end, as you can see, it's not so much a stripe pattern as it is some stripes. I just thought chunky stripes for the chunky yarn, and we'll see how I get on. And I think it's working. I quite like that there are big areas of colour, or lack of colour, because these are all shades. Just being pedantic there. It doesn't happen often, so let me do it this once. So it is bigger than I was expecting it to be, so I'm glad that I have 2 balls of this. It's wider than I was planning it to be, and it's probably longer than I was planning it to be, because everything this year is turning out to be way longer than I thought it was. The initial warping up was to there, and I thought, well, that's fine, but it's a little bit too narrow to be a wrap. It is more just a wide scarf. There is a grey area, no pun intended, between a wide scarf and a narrow wrap, but this felt like a wide scarf. So then I added the white at the sides, and then I thought, well, that's kind of the width that I'm after, but I also don't want the white to be at the edges. So then I added the black. So now it's wider than expected. So as you can tell, it is a very well planned very well planned project that was absolutely not inspired by a complete impulse buy because I thought this might look interesting on the loom. It does look interesting on the loom. I'm having a nice time with it, and it should be quite effective when it is done. Oh, I look warm. It's fine. I am warm. So a couple of weeks ago, you may remember I had a dog on the loom, and I ended up cutting that off because it wasn't working. My black yarn was too thick. So that's why I went, as I was saying when I was showing you the big loom, that's why I went to buy more black yarn, because I wanted to use this in a clasped weft with black yarn because I thought it would be an interesting effect. This is from Ice Yarns, and I have just ripped the label, which is very, very clever of me. It is Anatolia wool. I need to buy the big print yarn balls in future because that's a little... I've basically got that on the floor so I can see it with my distance glasses. But I wanted to do something with that. I've got a little bit of this left over, trying to stash bust if you ignore all the yarn I've been buying. And you should. So this is working now. This is working now with a thinner black yarn, and I'm going to show it to you. Now, sometimes when I show you my fresh weaves on the little loom, you can see the hem stitching, but you're not going to be able to today because I haven't done it yet. Fresh on the loom, couple of hours, not even hours, about 20 minutes ago. So this is not yet hem stitched. That's why I've got a big thread hanging off there. I'm going to hem stitch that. So this is my clasped weft. I'm not very good at saying clasped, and I usually have to have a little pause afterwards to have a rest. This is how it's looking so far. This is good to go. I don't love this dark colour, but it is what it is. So to do this, all I'm doing is taking the shuttle, which has got the black yarn on it, feeding it through the warp, and then I don't beat. What I do is I pick up the other yarn, pick up a loop of that, put the shuttle through so that it grabs a loop, and then pull that through to rest in the warp, and then I beat. So the other yarn is in this knitting ball holder or crochet ball holder. Stand still so people can look at you. My gosh. If you have a stand for your loom, you can just leave this on the floor next to your loom or in a bowl or whatever. I weave on a table edge. I don't have any stands. So by tying that to the side of the loom, I can weave this anywhere I fancy. It's given me the freedom that I need as a modern woman. Anyway, that's how that's looking. It is very fresh on the loom. It should be interesting. I think I'm gonna call it the fake 80s scarf, because you know how in like movies and television when they do retro 80s, they make it all neon and bright, And those of us who were there remember that it was actually just very brown. There was a lot of brown around in the 80s. Some of it was a holdover from the 70s, and some of it was new and fresh browns. But it's you know, it's got that kind of 80s vibe, I suppose, because of the neon colours. Anyway, that is what is on the little loom. Hopefully I will have that off the little loom for next week, along with the black and white one. But we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. This is all I have for you. I've taken up as much of your time as I am comfortable taking up today. You take care of yourself. Have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.